On today's episode, we're going to be talking about inspirations and goal settings. And we're also going to touch on the subject of why we personally got into fitness. This is the third episode of the Spartan Podcast. What's up, guys? As I just said, today's episode is going to be about inspirations and goal settings. So, just start from the get-go, really. Talk about how we got into fitness and everything.
Let's do it then, Ryan. Why'd you get into fitness?
It's going to be complete polar opposite to you, I assume. It's quite a cliche way. Most people would probably find it a little bit embarrassing to admit, but I started watching Marvel films a few years ago and really liked the actors Pratt and Hemsworth, as people know, because I still talk about them every day and I still... everything about them. But yeah, I watched Guardians of the Galaxy, and obviously I watched the Thor films as well. And I know for a fact Pratt used to be 21 stone. I can't actually convert that into kilos or pounds right now, but
it's a lot.
It's a lot heavy. And he slimmed down in 6 months to star in that film. Obviously, it's Hollywood. It's going to be a proper accelerated pace. It's his job to get that fit. So I was thinking, if he could do it in 6 months, if I worked out half as hard as him, I could do that in a year. If I worked out, you know what I mean? I just kind of put my own spin on it. So it sounds really cliche. I started, I didn't really know what I was doing in the gym. So I just joined the local gym. I started swimming a little bit. I literally would just doggy paddle. I didn't know, I knew what I was doing, but I didn't know how hard to go. I'll go to the gym. I was just following people. I'll go to the actual bodybuilding section of the gym, see someone doing some squats. I'll be like, right, I'm going to do some squats now. And then as I'm doing my squats, I'm looking around, someone's doing bench. I was like, cool, I'm going to do bench now. I had no idea what I was doing. But so I kind of wanted to not have the superhero physique chiseled. I knew I was never going to look like that very quick. But I wanted to just get fit. Idolise them massively. Still do to this day, which is like basically 4 years on. And I still have massive respect for those two blokes. I know they're Hollywood stars. And I'm not trying to be an actor, but I love the fact that these two blokes inspired me to drop from my heaviest weight. My heaviest weight I went up to was 19.5 stone, which we worked out to be 124 kilos. I did drop a little bit of weight for my wedding in 2016. I went down to about, I want to say just over 17 stone. And then remainder of that year, I went to America and stuff like that, and I just piled the weight back on. I went to exactly 18.5 stone. On New Year's Day 2017. This is basically when I got into these films, got into these blokes, and I dropped all the weight. About 2 years later, realised that I got quite skinny. I thought, right, I want to put some size on. And then that's when I really learnt about nutrition and learnt how to build muscle. I'm not saying that I'm absolutely got a massive rig now, obviously, but I started learning how to do it. It's not about starving yourself and just doing cardio and running and swimming and just running. So that's kind of how I got into it. I got some like bad steps along the way.
What was your high points? What were your low points during that journey?
So high points was I did a monthly photo of the scales. I'll take the same photo. I'd stand on the scales, take a picture of it. I've still got them on my phone. I can show you. And the first year, it just drops. I got down to 14.5 stone, and it just stayed there for like, say, probably about a year's time. It stayed there, which is when I was at my smallest. So the highlight, every month I'd love it because the weight was going down and I knew it was working. And I was more proud of the fact that I stuck to it, because before I knew it, my spreadsheet on my notes page, 2017 was full. I was back to January and I was like, wow, I've just done a whole year of this and I've dropped basically 4 stone in a year. I felt amazing. So that sort of aspect of it, impacted me massively positively. Had some low points as well, really, to the point where I've only really told my wife about 2 days ago, because I knew I was going to discuss it here. But at the end of 2017, probably just before Christmas time, until about summer 2018, I kind of developed a bit of a eating disorder. I never really saw anybody about it, got any help, but had a really bad problem without being too disgusting, but I would self-inflict on myself being sick on the daily. obviously it's quite embarrassing to talk about in a way, but I'm not embarrassed in the sense that I'm ashamed of it. But at the time, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it or anything. But every time I would eat food, I would feel bad. Even if it was a good meal, even if it was really healthy, I would eat. And it was almost like I could feel it in my stomach. I could feel it in my body. And it made me feel like I was fat, basically. And I didn't like it. So that lasted for about half a year. I didn't see anyone about it. Didn't tell anybody about it. And I found it took a massive hit on me as well, because it got to the point where I was actually a bit in pain. So I did drop to my lightest weight, as I said. And that's probably evidently one of the factors why I dropped to my lightest weight. I don't know how many calories I was consuming, probably not a lot. Obviously would never in a million years tell anyone to do it, for obvious reasons, but I didn't do it on purpose to lose weight. It was almost like an obsession thing I got of diving headfirst into losing weight. And it got to the point where I didn't want to do it. And sometimes it would actually like bring me down to tears in a way. Not like I'd just cry, but I actually felt embarrassed. Like I would do it when I was out for a meal with family and friends. I'd sneak off and do it. And it's horrible to say. I'm not ashamed by it, but it is true. And then I basically thought to myself, right, I'm actually in pain. My throat hurts and my stomach, behind my chest, it hurts. I'm actually a bit in pain when I was drinking water. And then I basically thought, I need to stop this. So I just spent a whole month eating my meals, forcing them down me. And I'm not going to lie, that was really hard. It was really hard. I felt full, I felt heavy. But all of a sudden it felt fine. Because I've always, again, going back to my inspirations, there's a quote from Chris Pratt I always live by. It's a video I watched every day. I still live by this sort of speech now as well. To lose weight and to be fit and healthy, all you need to do is cut the crap out the diet. Spend an hour a day, half an hour to an hour a day, doing something physical that makes you sweat. It doesn't matter what it is, but as long as you're being physical, as long as you're sweating, and feed your body with proper nutrition, proper fuel your body properly, in a year's time, 6 months to a year's time, your body's going to change and you're going to feel good. So I actually took that on really seriously, and it did. Within a month, 2 months, I just felt great, even though I was eating probably 3 times as much food as I was. And now I don't even know how I got into that sort of headspace in that sort of situation.
If you had any advice for anyone else that was going through something sort of similar at the moment, what would you say?
The easiest thing, same with most issues, mental health issues as well, because this is a mental health issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is to talk to somebody. You don't have to talk to your partner or anybody. Just talk to somebody, because I actually got to the point where I was doing it, and I was quite in pain doing it as well. And I didn't tell anybody because I was embarrassed. I was really embarrassed. And then people saying how well I was doing with the weight loss, it felt like I was cheating, but I wasn't cheating, because I would have lost the weight. Well, evidently, I haven't. That was ended in 2018, and I haven't got bigger. So evidently, I'm doing it right still.
Yeah.
But even if you spoke to somebody, like for instance, I know what it's like. So if anyone had any issues like that, I couldn't care less if you spoke to me, because I'd be so happy to help. Yeah. Because it's not a nice little headspace to be in, and also you do kind of feel ashamed by it as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, especially, I know we touched on the last one with around about social media. I think there's a massive pressure, especially on, well, say young people, I say all over the sort of ages at the moment, to get in shape. And I know personally myself, I go on my Instagram, all you're seeing is shredded people in shape, banging about on home workouts, which obviously, don't get me wrong.
As if it's normal as well.
Yeah, as if it's normal. And don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing as well. I know there was a post I put up yesterday, and I reposted it, and it was on the shape that Adele's managed to get herself into recently.
Unbelievable.
But
Jeff.
At the same time, there were a lot of people saying how she cheated them because now she's got herself in shape. There should be nothing wrong with getting yourself into a healthy. Obviously, there was a point where I don't know her personally, obviously, there was a point where she's gone, right, I'm going to turn my life around and get myself fit and healthy. And like I said, if someone's not there encouraging you to get yourself better, then you don't need their opinion.
No, not at all. And I think it's ridiculous people had negative things to say about that as well.
Yeah.
I don't understand what the argument was.
No, it's just people insecure about themselves at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, after all that, the last year or so, I've I'm not ripped, I'm not massive. I'm weighing 16 stone, or just over 16 stone now at the moment. But it's good. I feel physically good. My clothes have still shrunk, so I'm still wearing smaller clothes, but my weight's gone up massively. But my food's gone up, everything. I'm actually taking note of what I'm doing. I feel good all the time. It's very rare I have a bad day now.
Would you say your mental health is a lot better now?
Oh, massively. And that just comes down to doing things properly. And it always comes down to somebody who wants to lose weight. They think you need to starve yourself and run and do cardio. It's so cliche, such a cliche thing to say, but it's true. It's completely true. And you don't, as I said, you just need to fuel your body with proper food, proper nutrition.
Yeah.
And just actually look at what you're doing, what you're putting in your body, and what you're doing with your body.
I'd say body dysmorphia is a massive, massive factor as well.
Absolutely massive.
Would that be something you said you probably had at the time?
Well, when I was at my biggest, my clothes used to be tight, obviously, and I used to be very conscious about that. And now I've lost weight, my clothes have shrunk, so my clothes still feel tight. I hope that makes sense. Because they still feel tight, I feel exactly the same as I did when I was big. But no, I'm not big. But you just learn to not deal with it. You learn to accept the fact that you're wrong and things have changed. But you need to put that work in to change your body. And when you do, you feel so good. And you don't. Well, for me, I don't know why I didn't do it sooner.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I was just having this conversation with someone a minute ago, saying that probably some of the people that you would class most in shape are probably at times the most insecure people that you probably see. I know personally I've been around the gym scene for the last 10 years. I know some of the guys that are probably in the biggest, best shape that I've ever seen. Not just bodybuilding, but CrossFit sort of style training as well. Even when I was in the Marines, they're massive insecurities. And sometimes it can work to your advantage because obviously that's why they're like they are.
Exactly.
Do you see what I mean?
You just said like 10 years or so. What was it? What got you into fitness initially?
I started working at a local gym in Clumpton. Ended up doing my qualifications through that. The gym I was in at the time, no one really cared didn't really care about your opinion unless you were massive, and all they cared about at the time was benching. And this shows just how far fitness has come in the last sort of 10 years. Back when I first started, it was all about how big can you get, whereas now it seems to have shifted. I'd say probably for the more positive, more into sort of the fitness and
being fit
now, which is I think obviously a lot healthier way to be. But yeah, that was sort of my story, mate. I never had anything like yourself. I'd definitely say body dysmorphia is something that I've probably struggled with.
Have you really?
Yeah, mainly because, I've always been around that sort of bodybuilding scene. And I know once you get yourself into sort of good shape, you're never going to be happy with the physique you're at.
Never. I found, I don't know if you agree with me, when I started the gym, there was always these blokes who were fitter than me, bigger than me. And I used to feel like, in a year's time, hopefully I'm at their level. But the thing is, in a year's time you are, but then they've progressed another year as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And you still feel the same. And then what you got to realise is that those blokes feel the same as well.
Yeah, they're always going to have someone they're looking up to. You're always going to want to be fitter, bigger, stronger. Whatever your goal is, you're always going to be that way.
I think you feel like that no matter what fitness level or whatever type of training you do.
Yeah.
Because you can always progress, you're always going to want to progress. But yeah, that's it really. I think we're actually kind of out of time on that one again. Yeah. But yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in again. And, well, same as last time, we'll catch you on the next one.